Hello. I've just come from my, open-eyed meditation, I guess. and I've come with a question for each of us, for me as well. How attached are you to sorrow? Are you able to let it go? As we wake up, we find ourselves in a realm of lies and deceit. Now, it doesn't have to be that way. That's not what the potential is. That's just what the current manifestation is and has been for several thousand years. It's a prison planet, and the beauty is still there underlying. But what largely has control of and is running things is deception and lies. These are how we're manipulated and played with and used, just as we use our livestock to sustain and nurture us. So we are used as livestock. And we find that we're not at the top of the food chain, as some would call it. And it's a shock. It's a shock. We have been deceived. But oh my God, we're used to that now, are we not? How long have we been waking up? How long has it been since we first began to see through some of the tissue of lies? We've come a long way. As I look back now at the fall of the trade centers, the fact that we could so deceive ourselves, that was such an obvious demolition project. No building falls like that. It was so obvious. And the fact that initially so few questioned it is a measure and a mark of the success of the deception that we've been under. Now, we are beings of light, here for a purpose, largely forgotten. But heart doesn't forget, heart knows. And that's with us always. That's our safety. That's our safety net. And without that, we wouldn't have been willing to enter into this drama. Okay, we're waking up. We got too identified with 3D. And then our ability to, it's been quite some time that mankind's ability to connect with his higher self has been diminished. With 12 strands of DNA, my gosh, we can't even imagine what we could do with 6, much less 12. So there's real divinity and power just lying in wait there for us. Okay, now drop into heart to hear this, because the mind will rebel. The mind is the tool that's been used to entrap us. Had we stayed in heart, we couldn't have been this deceived. Now, I'm not saying things weren't meant to happen just as they did, and I'm not even complaining about how they happened. I'm just looking at it. And the mind has been largely taken over. And there are endless ways. There are so many ways that we are poisoned and polluted and held down. The dark force is freaking out. They're crazy with fear. And they're coming at us from all sides. Everything we take in, from the air to the food to the water to everything, is poisoned and polluted. And we're a hardy lot, aren't we? We just keep trucking on in spite of all of it. And it's funny that in the backwards way that 3D is and tends to be, the mirror thing, how they've tried so very hard to poison us, to damage the pituitary, the pineal, to have us not awaken, not look within, etc., etc., etc. And in their intensity to prevent this, they wind up causing it because it just gets to be too much. And it's the too much that is waking many of our brethren up. We're a hardy bunch. And we went along on that for quite a long time simply because we could. And it's true. We got too complacent. It's a wonder, though, and it's a wonderful thing. And we're going to look back on this with great joy and delight. We can't see it now, but we will, my friends. What we're going through here is freaking amazing. My desire is to sound this call so that as many as can be will get out of the mind, quit trusting it so much. We have a mind, a brain that is distributed throughout the body. There is no need for us to be trapped in the left brain, which is the case for most of the populace in the West. You know, that's all I can speak for. Shoot. All I can speak for is the US. I might have friends around the world, a number in Canada, and Canada is so near and so on. But even so, I went to a conference in Vancouver, and I was stunned by the difference when you cross the border. There's just a different frequency, a different vibration. There's a difference in the people. I was very surprised to see, because I didn't know about it, the love of freedom in the people. The hearty spirit. It just it was very enlivening for me. The body was very, very sick at that time, and for that conference, all I could do was lay in the bed in the motel and attend a few of the presentations, and I didn't have strength to do any touristy kind of things, but I loved it all the same. Even just walking the streets. Anyway, countries have different places have different frequencies and vibrations, and I suspect that it's Gaia that's underlying that, and that how we are has a lot to do, very much to do with where we are. And so each portion, each part of Gaia has its own special song to sing, its own special harmony to bring. And we're finding that out as we're coming together. Maybe the internet was created with dark purposes in mind for control and so on, but it certainly got out of hand for anyone who tried to control it. And so it has been something that has enabled this getting together that we're doing. And so when I say, how attached are you to sorrow? This sorrow is manufactured in the mind. And it's the mind that's used to create what we see out there, the mind and the emotions. And so to the extent that we can back off from the left brain focus that most of us spend our days in, to the extent that we can begin even to take baby steps away from that, go into your right brain, get creative, you know, whatever. We have tremendous, phenomenal potential. We are the rescuers we seek. When Christ said, I am the vine and ye are the branches, that was missed by a lot of people. You don't think that a branch on a tree is separate or different from the tree. It is a part of the tree. It shares its being with the tree. It's tree. And we are that. We are the Christ. And we could even be said to be the second coming of Christ as we rise into that Christ consciousness and awaken more and more. I have also heard the Christ consciousness called the higher mind, capital H, capital M. There's a mind of divinity that's accessible and available to us, but not until we get out of the left brain. It's been taken over, my friends. There are so many control mechanisms at work everywhere, in the satellites above, in the cell phones, in the technology, in the media, there is a micro miniaturization of computer chips. They can be passed into us through a hypodermic needle. And so God knows what's being put into the bodies who are accepting vaccinations or whatever. And so there is the attempt to control. The way the content of the foods has been altered, I'm highly suspicious about what's going on there as well. This, and let me take a short detour here. There is a worship of technology that's going on. We have been lured. This is one of the things that's been going on with the takeover of the mind. We want nothing more than to have the kind of powers of computation and so on that a computer has. And there are people that are willing to be hooked up to chips, and they're testing it out, first on your pets and your children. Oh, that way they can't be stolen. You'll know right where they are. And we're told of a quote unquote good use when it's being developed for anything but. That's just the lie that's put on top to gain your acceptance. See, our free will is still involved here. We just have to wake up from the deception. And so then it goes into people that are in hospital beds, people that are disabled in wheelchairs and so on, who could have so much more ability if they could learn to manipulate the cursor with their brain. And so they get hooked up and, oh, see, isn't this wonderful? And look at the new world that's available to this person now. There is what I see as a false path that unfortunately many will be led down, and that's elevating technology as the answer to everything, and combining our biology with technology. And people look up to technology as if they have not the abilities that their machines do. This is not the case. With our full capacities reconnected, we don't need the internet. We don't need telephones. We don't need any of it. We have these abilities inherent in our being, in our biology. We're already psychic. We've been trained not to know it, not to see it, not to access it or use it. And again, when we're in left brain, that's the one spot where we could be corralled, where we wouldn't be fully perceptive and aware. So it's a letting go of our sorrows, a letting go of our identity with the whole realm here. We've built up a world that we think is real. How strong are we? Can we not back off? 10 steps back and you'll know it's not real, not the way you think it is. Just like time, the way we think about time. Now our science has shown us it's completely wrong. Completely. We've known this for decades. True science is not taught in the schools. They're still teaching stuff that we know and we have proof is totally inaccurate, and the teachers stand up there and teach it. Education doesn't educate, it programs. Had I a child now, I would not send that child to college unless I could tell it was the child's divine plan to go there. Homeschooling is great. All right. Have I covered it all? No, I haven't. What haven't I covered? Well, I haven't said the word heart, but you know me by now, do you not? I come to you from there. It's fully accessible to you, but it takes letting go of your left brain identity, your ways of being. It's become an identity. If you're afraid to let go of it, it's because it's become an identity and you think it's who and what you are. And it's just not. I don't care what it's shown you. I don't care how fine the things are that you've learned. The ones who are in control here are in control not only in 3D, they're here in 4D as well. And so they're not visible to us. And still they control and manipulate. It is amazing the many different ways that people are deceived. And I look at the channelers and I look at the beauty of their hearts, so many of them. And yet I still see we all have weaknesses, my friends, and those weaknesses are seen and exploited by these other ones. And that does not make them gods. You know, they're just in another realm, in another dimension, and they can see these things. When we had full vision, when our vision wasn't restricted the way it is now, we could too. We could see into another's aura. There was no hiding the truth. Everything was open and exposed. There was a union, a oneness. So we've got to get out of, number one, worshiping anything ET as if it was better than us just because it can appear and look as if it's made of light. That's nothing. It's just in the next dimension. That doesn't mean it's perfect. That doesn't mean it's spiritual. Okay, so it's totally technologically advanced. Excuse me, but screw that. What does that get you that's of worth, of real worth? When we look around at the uses of technology, we have to say that technological advancement, absent spiritual advancement, is dangerous, is worthless. It's just more ways to be manipulated. And so again and again, I go into heart. Again and again, I'm content not to have full understanding of something because I know I don't need it. Look at these people that had this tremendously full understanding of this technology. Look at who and what they are and what they're doing. Look at the emptiness, the void of soul that is there. Do you want that? We've got to back off from our addictions to the various technology and recognize what's going on there. But we don't recognize, it's just like the left brain. Until you get out of it, you don't recognize that it's a trap. Strange journal. They're all strange lately. Is that it? Why do I keep wanting to go? All right. My belief and understanding is that these beings that are running the show behind the scenes are technologically advanced. On the mental plane, they're ahead of us, partly because we've been kept back. So we don't know who and what we are. Just know that you're divinity. That's all you need to know. And divinity is the card that trumps all the rest. What is all that other stuff absent divinity? Absent integrity, absent heart. It has no worth at all. It's just used to harm, to control, and to manipulate. Now, sure, we've used the internet for good purpose, but we have to back off from that as well. I only have it on when I need to. When I'm doing my recordings, when I'm doing my readings in the morning, a lot of times it's off. We don't have to have it automatically connect as soon as we turn the machine on, because we plug in to the whole network when we do that. And you have to be really present not to be invaded by that. So to step out of the mind is to begin to become more aware of these kinds of things. And I highly recommend it. I know I'm not the only one doing this. I know there are a lot of us, and I'm really grateful for that, for the way we're linking up. Okay. Have a blessed, bright, beautiful day, and spend at least 1 minute in heart.